Today, I would like to speak about bereavement and loss. The loss of a loved one is the most significant emotional upheaval that many people will experience. Events like this can be a time to draw close to loved ones, evaluate life, and find catharsis. Deep grief can also go the other way. Some people become bitter, closed off, and seem to never recover. It's natural to be curious about how others process their grief and whether or not your personal reaction to loss fit into the realm of what's normal, though there is no normal in grief. Researchers have extensively studied bereavement. Being familiar with the various models of grief can help you understand and accept the new state of your life, as long as you can view these models as general and not prescriptive. Perhaps the most established and culturally recognized model for dealing with loss is the Kubler-Ross model of 5 stages of grief. It's a simple, relatable model that speaks to people attempting to make sense of the incomprehensible difficulties. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross studied terminally ill patients' grief in relation to their own death. It was never intended to be a blueprint for grieving the death of loved ones. Still, the 5 stages may be able to help those who are new to grief. Traditionally, the 5 stages sound something like this. Denial. Examples: I'm still in shock. It still doesn't feel like my mom is dead. This isn't happening. Or other people have beat cancer. He will be fine. Second stage is anger. Examples are, the doctors didn't even try to save my sister. Or I will kill the driver who hit my son. Or no one understands my pain. The third stage is bargaining. If God makes my friend better, I'll never skip church again. Or, if everyone signs this petition, what happened to Stephen will never happen to anyone else. Or, I will never take my life for granted again. The fourth stage is depression. Feelings or statements like, I want to be alone. Or, I feel tired all the time. All I want to do is sleep. Or even, anytime I get a minute alone, I start crying and I can't stop. The fifth stage is acceptance. I still miss her, but days and weeks go by now without thinking about her. Or I like taking flowers to Dad's grave on his birthday as my way of remembering him. Or I didn't think I'd ever move on, but things have gotten easier. Another example, I heard you recently lost your mom. My mom passed away a few years ago. Let me know if you ever need to talk. It's comforting to believe that if you can weather 4 challenging emotional storms, acceptance will follow. But that's not really how it works. So what is grief really like? A lot more complex. Mixed in with the 5 stages are also complicated feelings that most people prefer not to feel. Relief, anxiety, weakness, worthlessness, blame, guilt, shame, mania, hysteria, and even suicidal ideations often accompany grief. The most damaging misconception of the 5 stages is that they run linearly. There may be people who experience denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance in perfect order, but that is not the norm. The practical presentation of grief stages is as varied and random as the complex emotions they represent. The stages may run concurrently, only to repeat again and again. You may loop through the depression for years or return to bargaining every few days. They also happen simultaneously or sometimes not at all. Back to back, 3 at once, all at once. You may repeat the same stage again and again for months, only to rapidly go through the final 4 in a moment. In the first moments of grief, you may even experience all stages at once, every second, for hours. It's painful, it's traumatic, and impossible to call. It's crucial to remember that there is no right way to grieve. All your feelings are valid, even if you don't understand or like them. Knowing the 5 stages can help you put words to feelings that you're trying to understand. Having a structure for processing complex emotions is comforting too, but it's not definitive. It's not fail-safe or reliable way to conquer grief. So here are some practical tips for grief. Take care of yourself. Eat well, stay hydrated, and take enough time to rest. Don't let your grief become toxic for yourself and for others. Just as you deserve support and understanding, you must also respect other people who are grieving. Set personal boundaries. Right now, you may not be able to handle the same amount of work or social interaction you usually can. Remember that time does not heal all wounds. Putting your grief on the back burner will only prolong it. Feel your feelings. You won't regret putting the thought and effort into yourself when a loss has occurred. Find a way through grief that works for you. Most people don't consider the 5 stages of grief until they are personally faced with a major death. When you're in emotional chaos, it's comforting to think that there is a format for getting better. Grief is not something you leave behind when you're finished with. As foreign as it feels, at first significant grief becomes part of you, for better or for worse. It's a loss in itself to realize that you will never be the same again. So consider Kubler-Ross model as a very tentative hypothesis. It's not prescriptive, absolute, or even true for many people, but it is an interesting exercise in understanding your own feelings. Think of it as a starting point in a long journey toward understanding the way you grieve, not the way you should grieve. Last but not least, remember the words of Jesus. I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, they will live. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this? This is Faith and Family, and I'm Father Nareg Terterian. May God bless you all.